We're talking quarterback on today's show because that was a really bad performance by Will Levis. We don't need to rehash all the turnovers too much in depth. Do you think the Titans need a new quarterback? Why for yes and for no? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. The Titans-Bengals game on Sunday was certainly one of the football games I've seen in my life watching the NFL. Turnover-filled. It was Will Levis against a bad defense. An opportunity for the young quarterback to showcase, hey, you know what? I actually am worthy of being your franchise guy. I didn't play well the last time I faced a bad defense the week previously against the Jags, but this week I'll do it. He did not. And it is very clear he is simply not the guy. There are many issues in Tennessee, make no mistake about it. But if quarterback's one of your main problems, you got to get that one figured out. Levis went 8 of 12, 89 yards. Looks pretty good. Oh, 4 turnovers. Another pick six. He leads the NFL in pick sixes this year. The last 3 games for Levis have not been against challenging defenses. They have been against teams that are closer to the bottom of EPA, points scored, yards allowed, success rate, etc. in defense. Will Levis has not played well in those games. Gone 45 of 81. That's 55.5% completion. That's bad. 469 yards. Not good. 5.8 yards per attempt. He's had 2 touchdowns, 4 turnovers. 5 carries, 0 yards. It's just not good. For the season, I can't have Mayo Boy having 12 touchdowns and 17 turnovers. That's not winning football. That's losing football. It is simply not good enough out of Levis. They made the move to bench him for Mason Rudolph mid-game. Okay? Look, here's the reality you're facing. Finding a quarterback isn't easy. Take shots. You miss on a lot of them. Regimes get fired. Organizations don't have the success that they're searching for. It's been a long time since Tennessee had a true franchise quarterback in there. Been a very long time, probably too long. But it's time to go down this path again. You got to try something else. By the way, Mason Rudolph is not the answer. He can be your backup. He's fine as a backup. But he's better than Levis probably right now because, 1-to-1 ratio is better than 1-to-2 on the turnover or touchdown turnover side. But he's not an actual option for you as a starter. That just screams, we're going to pick top 5 again. So will the Titans get a new quarterback this offseason? 1 for yes, 0 for no. If they're going to run it back with Levis and Rudolph, which I have my doubts and don't think it'll happen. Let me know in the comment section of today's show, 1 or 0 right now. We're going to look at trade options, draft options, but we're going to start with free agency options. And one of the somehow more intriguing ones is Sam Darnold. 68.4%, 3,000 yards this year, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. But the Vikings drafted J.J. McCarthy in round 1 last year. They believe in McCarthy. Kevin O'Connell, part of the Sean McVay coaching tree, which, by connection, Brian Callahan also gets to count himself under since Zach Taylor was in L.A. and then Brian Callahan was under Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. Darnold has had a, I don't know if glow up is even close enough to describing it. So much better than we've ever seen him be in his NFL career. Might be a testament to Kevin O'Connell and his overall success, but Darnold's going to command the Baker Mayfield contract in free agency. $30+ million, probably a little bit more with the salary cap going up, and he gets to be a starter in the NFL. Who's going to go after him? Tennessee could be a prime contender, actually, because if the Vikings let him leave, which I think there's a real chance they do, Tennessee is going to be outside the top 2. We'll come back to that in a little bit, in a bad quarterback class, and they could try to jumpstart things with Darnold. But does 1 year override the rest of the career? There are very real concerns going after Sam Darnold. But in the free agency market, this is the most intriguing one. Now, Russell Wilson will also be a free agent. He's starting in Pittsburgh. I would assume he just returns to the Steelers. That he goes back and stays with the organization, gets an extension done, which would then make Justin Fields an option as a free agent. He was with the Bears, with the Steelers, didn't work out that well. He was fine in Pittsburgh. Again, there's a lack of big chunk plays out there for Fields, and I think he's just kind of going to be who he is at this point, which is He's probably one of the top 32 quarterbacks, but he's a lot closer to 32 than he is 12. And at that point, do you actually have your guy? Other free agents, you want to go for the meme one, go for Jameis Winston, and then it gets really thin. Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Jacoby Brissett, Mac Jones. It's not exactly a who's crop of like, yes, this is a good idea to go make this guy our starter. We've seen Flacco and Brissett get starting chances. Mac Jones get starting chances. Those don't go well. If you want to get weird with it, you could bring back Marcus Mariota, but I don't think that's actually a good idea to win actual football games in the year 2025. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. They got a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out the fluff, only show you the incredible deals on great seats. So let's waste time searching through thousands of different tickets. It's curation designed to save you even more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and everything else in between. The all-in pricing feature shows your total cost up front, so there are no surprise fees at checkout. Maybe it's not a Titans game you want to go to. I do understand that one. There's concerts. There's the Music City Bowl. You can always go to that one as well. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account over at gametime.co. Redeem code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports, for $20 off. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Download Game Time. What time is it? It's game time. Let's talk trade candidates then. Then we'll move to the NFL draft. Remember, most organizations, the head coach GM combination, they get one shot at a quarterback. Now, sometimes you get two, and Atlanta has seemingly gotten two of them. They took Michael Penix in round one. They signed Kirk Cousins, who could be available in free agency on the trade market, this upcoming year, if they want to make the move over to Michael Penix full time. Cousins has been up and down this year. The mobility is clearly not the same coming off of his injury, and that's actually, I think, a pretty big concern. As desperate as some teams might be for a quarterback, Cousins is going to be 37 next year. You don't get faster as you age. The contract breaks down as such. He's due $27.5 million in 2025. It's not that much money. Now, of note, once you pay him for 2025, $10 million of his 2026 salary becomes guaranteed. That's $45 million. So could be a rental of $37.5 million for a year of play. It's not that bad, but you really got to trust the fact that Cousins is going to be better this year. I think he fits the offense decently because, again, it's the Zach Robinson still coaching tree to an extent, Kevin O'Connell coaching tree, right? I don't know if Cousins really moves the needle beyond like, okay, we have a top 20 quarterback to stabilize things. Next up is Derek Carr. And Carr he's been Derek Carr. This is kind of who he is. He puts up around 3-1 touchdown to interception ratio, give or take. He's been solid. The issue you run into here with Derek Carr is the money. He's owed $40 million in 2025. It's a lot of money. Now, there's only $10 million currently guaranteed on that, but in March, it all becomes guaranteed. Then $50 million in 2026. So, again, you're not going to pay Derek Carr $50 million in 2026. No chance of that happening. But is he better than Kirk Cousins? I think he's kind of in the same bucket, and he's significantly more expensive. The wild card is Aaron Rodgers, who we did talk about years ago when he was first available in the trade market for the Packers. Here's what I'm not even going to put the contract up here because it's such a weird contract. You're basically just going to tear it up and pay him a new one. Rodgers, if you trade for Aaron Rodgers, you run the Aaron Rodgers offense. And that is a very streaky, very inconsistent offense of slot fades just constantly. And, that's okay, but at age 41, 42 soon for Aaron Rodgers, that's not a long-term option. And I don't think Tennessee as an organization is close enough to justify even a Kirk Cousins at his age, Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, as this is our quarterback when you're not ready to really compete, and those guys probably aren't good enough to get you to compete. So you're just kind of trying to lock it in for an 8 or 9 win season. And what's the point of that? That's where you don't want to be. The wild card trade idea, and this is something that was mentioned by the PFF Draft podcast with my boy Connor Rogers and Trevor Sikkema, was trading for J.J. McCarthy. This is if the Vikings want to pay Sam Darnold, which I don't know if they want to do that. But if they're going to pay Sam Darnold, there's no reason to have J.J. McCarthy. Now, a trade would be expensive. You're not going to give up your first-round pick. You're looking at a round one pick swap or a second-round pick and change and future seconds or future conditional ones and twos. It gets really complicated, but that's your kind of wild card idea. Who do you want as the Titans quarterback in 2025? We'll talk draft targets here in just a second, but let me know in the comment section of today's show. Let's go to the draft targets here. Of note, no Drew Aller. He's going back to school. That was announced today for Penn State, so he is not going to be an option for you. Two notable names then really stand out at the top. First up, not in any order really, is Cam Ward, the Miami Hurricanes quarterback. He has been a gunslinger in more positive senses this year for Miami than some previous years at Washington State, but he's got the arm strength, he's got the out-of-structure stuff. If you want a playmaker, that's Cam Ward. Then there's Shedeur Sanders, the Colorado quarterback, who is very accurate, throws a good football, doesn't have the same arm strength, not nearly as mobile as you might expect, given who his dad was. But Shedeur is a very reliable quarterback with high completion percentage. He's been accurate all year long. He doesn't have the same overwhelming physical skills, but frankly, neither does Cam Ward. Ward's probably got a better skill set from an arm strength and mobility perspective, but Shedeur is not lacking necessarily either. Biggest question mark for Shedeur, Ward is the turnovers, the bad plays, the sacks. Shedeur is sometimes holds the ball a little bit long, but how does dad influence things here? That could be a potential issue. The number one issue, though, for Tennessee is how are you going to get these guys? The quarterback class stinks. We'll get to that more in depth in a second. Giants and Raiders desperately need quarterback help. They are in dire straits. Now, the Raiders play tonight, Monday Night Football. We assume that they're not going to win that game. If they do win that game, draft order changes and maybe a trade window opens up for pick number 2. But if the Giants-Raiders are picking 1 and 2, which is the path we're trending towards, they're not going to trade those picks. They're probably going to go quarterback, right? Now, Patriots, Jags, and Panthers probably don't go QB. They're all ahead of Tennessee still. That makes it much more challenging to get one of those guys. Now, we'll have free Titans videos for you all year long, all off-season long. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out, youtube.com/Titans today. So the other top quarterbacks then become Jalen Milroe, who is athletic as all get out, makes some big plays, and isn't a consistent passer at all. He can hit the deep ball. He's got a good arm. He's got the mobility. We saw Anthony Richardson go super early for similar things, but that's not gone very well in Indy so far. And it kind of falls into the concerns of, well, we can get our next Josh Allen, and the next Josh Allen gets a half dozen regimes fired type of deal. He's also not as big as Josh Allen. He's kind of like a supercharged Jalen Hurts more than anything. Other options, and I'll mention these next two players because they got a chance to showcase what they can do in the college football playoff. And if Quinn Ewers helps lead Texas to a national championship, you know that's going to draw attention. I don't think he's a good NFL QB right now. Footwork is personal. If it works for you, great. But when you struggle to push the ball beyond 10 yards downfield and your footwork sucks, I'm going to blame your footwork as a big reason why. Might not be fair. That's how I'm going to do it. I actually think it is fair anyway. 2-to-1 touchdown to turnover ratio has not been great for Quinn Ewers. I kind of think the better quarterback is Arch Manning. At least gives them more athletic ability, which is a weird thing to say with a Manning out loud. But Quinn, I just don't see great play. I see a lot that's left on the table in an offense that makes life easy on him, and he makes it challenging in the end. Then there's Carson Beck, who had been mocked as like, he's probably quarterback 1, but he's more of a placeholder. The whole pitch around Carson Beck was, hey, he's not the overwhelming physical skill set guy, but he normally puts the ball in the right spot, isn't going to turn the ball over. And then all he's done is turn the ball over this year. It kind of ruins the whole argument when you're the safe guy. Like, he could be Jared Goff for you, and then you just turn the ball over left and right. So Beck's coming off injury, by the way, too, but they made it to the CFP because they beat Texas. If one of those guys wows in the CFP, which would be a surprise with what they've done so far this year, maybe it's a different conversation, but then you're almost falling into the Cardell Jones trap, too.